Now, it's time for Levack and Goz to answer the question, why?
Why? Tell me why?
Why?
A little after 4 o'clock on a Wednesday, which means it's time to figure out why. In the world of sports, these things happen. Goz comes up with the question. We try to make sense of it. The only thing we can't say is why not. I'd like to do the first one.
Okay.
Why did you not continue my tradition of the way I handle telemarketers on my phone?
If you're watching us right now, Facebook.com/1045, the team, it'll take you to the Mohawk Honda live feed right off of, I think we're tagged in it as well. So you go that way. If you don't know this, Levack gets a lot of prank calls sometimes.
Not pranks. They're telemarketers. For whatever reason, they still come through, even though I'm on the do not call registry.
And you are extremely mean to them. Funny when you're mean to them.
Is a relative term. Vulgar is absolutely true.
So you wanted me to do that same thing just moments ago, and I'm not doing that.
You wanted to answer my phone.
I did.
If you're going to answer my phone and then they go, hi, this is Pamela from the warranty department. Well, Pamela, I'd like you to warranty my... And on to the next question.
Next time I will, when I'm not being filmed and I don't have my job on the line. And
Pamela has only called once. Let's just put it like that.
That was Kim, by the way.
Oh, Kim never called before. She deserved the treatment.
No, she did not. She seemed like a sweet lady. Here's the first question of Wednesday. Why Pat Shurmur, possibly the next head coach of the New York Giants? Why?
He checks a lot of the boxes. I mean, he is a experienced head coach. He 9-23 in Cleveland, 9 more wins in Cleveland than most people get, and he is a quarterback whisperer. You're in a situation where you're going to need a new quarterback after Eli, or try to get the most you can out of Eli. Like I said, he checks a lot of the boxes for you right there. Speaking of boxes, pizza box and wings coming in.
Oh man, I love Mohawk Honda.
So, yes, I mean, he checks a lot of the boxes. Quarterback, in a situation where your offense is going to need a serious upgrade, he can do that for you.
Okay, the last part there about the offense needing an upgrade, I can get with you a little bit on that for the New York Giant fans because they're trying to find how they can separate themselves from the teams in the NFC East. But when it comes to Shurmur, doesn't he feel like just the flavor of the month, like the hottest coaching candidate out there because of how well Minnesota's doing? Was his name ever tossed around for 2016 coaching jobs, or even 2015 when he was done with
2012-ish? Yeah.
Well, like the Cleveland thing, like he was coaching in 2012, so he's with Cleveland at that point. You're like, all right, like is it the Browns that make him a bad coach? But he won 9 games as he touched down there. I just can't buy into the Pat Shurmur thing. If he was good for like 2 or 3 years in a row as an OC, maybe I'm with you. But the timing just seems like, well, he's the best now, so we have to take him. The next one here, why is UAlbany men's basketball team struggling so much in the early part of this season?
I will tell you that, wow, what do we got here? What do we got? Oh yeah,
goodness
buddy.
gracious.
There's some wings. There's some wings happening. What is that? All right. I will tell you that the way I understand it, David Nichols is having trouble finding his shot. They're relying a lot on Steyer in the low post instead of letting Cremo and Nichols shoot. And it's just they're at a crossroads where they're going to have to start pushing the ball more and try to find out how to get Nichols' confidence back.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out that second part of it. Is it that they have to push the ball more, or is it that as simple as when teams play zone against them, they have to find some shooters. They have to figure out who can break up that zone. There's a lot of things that have happened in the early part of the season that have pushed the Great Danes to a 2-3 conference record. I think there's also a lot that has to factor into this of how fired up, how ready the opponents have been against Albany. And it's really huge respect to Will Brown and what he's built of the program, that every single time a team goes out and says, we need to play big against Albany, we have to be good against them. Binghamton talked about it, that they said their goal this season was to beat Albany twice. Not talking about the non-conference, not talking about something. Their goal was to beat Albany. That means like you and Vermont are the go-to teams in that conference. Well, to turn things around, Albany's got to figure out some shooters, maybe pushing the pace, and finding out the right rotation of guys going forward that can help them win some games in the conference play.
Never discount how hard that is, though, when you become the team that everybody wants to be. And that's absolutely what Albany you are their final game of the tournament. Every time you play them. So that definitely makes things more difficult.
The New York Mets did not trade for Andrew McCutchen. Why?
The theory, though it makes no sense to me, is they didn't think they could afford McCutchen and Jay Bruce together. So they kept Brandon Nimmo, who was the key part of the trade, made it sound like he was the big deal, but the bottom line is they didn't want to pay McCutchen. There is still a chance that they'll move Nimmo to get Josh Harrison, and if they do that, then I'm okay with them skipping on McCutchen because you did get Jay Bruce.
Yeah, I'm with on too. Like, I saw yesterday on Twitter, a lot of New York sports fans were crushing the Mets about that trade. Like, how could you not trade Brandon Nimmo for Andrew McCutchen? Now, I won't win the argument to tell you that Brandon Nimmo is better than Andrew McCutchen because he's just not. McCutchen's a better baseball player, but he has 1 year left on his deal. Why are you going to trade for a 1 year rental and lose a future player for the New York Mets? The Harrison thing is interesting, though, because if you find the right spot for him in that order somewhere, now we're talking Mets. But, like, if we know, here's the thing, and maybe it's good reporting or maybe it's something else. If we know the New York Mets are aiming for Harrison, if you're Pittsburgh, you start pushing the price on that, don't you? Like, oh, we know you want this guy. We want Nimmo, this guy, and that guy, too.
I mean, you can say that if you want to, but eventually you're only going to get what the market's going to bear, and they didn't really get anything for McCutchen. So if that's the other thing, I'm looking at me like, well, if you took nothing for him, why am I going to give you this? You know, the stars and the moon for Harrison?
All right, here we go with the next one here for Wednesday. Why the Pittsburgh Steelers lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it seems as if they're going to fire Todd Haley, the offensive coordinator. Why?
You looked past the Jags. You looked to the Patriots. You started talking about playing them. Did you see some of the Jags players where, like, because the Mike Mitchell quote, the safety for the Steelers was, we play them anyway, we play them in hell. And all the Jags players like, well, you better play them in Madden because that's all you got left this year. I mean, the bottom line, I think they looked past. They didn't take the Jags seriously. They were so heated up and ready to go against the Patriots. They looked past them. It's a trap game, all that. Haley goes because this isn't the kind of team to knee-jerk fire a head coach. Clip the OC, might make Ben happy, might make everybody else happy, and then, you know, it also shows, look, you're not as safe as you think you are. We will actually get rid of you if we have to.
Man, that's a really good answer, Levack, but it just frustrates me because I'm like, Pittsburgh went against Jacksonville, who they got smacked by earlier in the season. Jacksonville's a really good defense, and it's the second time that an offensive coordinator loses their job to not playing well against the best defense in the NFL. It's now become we lost, let's fire somebody. And I don't know if it started in baseball. I don't know if it...
I think it's us. I think it's fans.
It's fans?
I think
it's like fans. Social media now? Like, we see the reaction right in front of us. If you're an owner and a GM, you're like, okay, everyone's turning. Here are the numbers.
People just react, and then you try to appease them.
But we're not even going to think about the Steelers going 13-3 or having Bell, Brown, and Roethlisberger.
Or easily being one of the top two teams in the AFC for the last, 3-4 years?
I just don't get it there. The NBA fight that was and wasn't involving the Clippers and Rockets, Chris Paul, Clint Capella, and more, what and why happened in that crazy game in the NBA? Why was this even a story?
Well, look, I'm the general manager, Nick Bonarigo's. What's that? Serbia? Yeah. Yes.
I'm going to answer my
You answer it.
I'm going to answer it first.
Nick's taking over.
Nick, and I'm going to answer this question.
He's the guy who gets me cars. What do
Okay.
you want me to listen to? You want me to listen to him? What do you want?
The fight in the NBA, I don't get what's going on with guys wanting to have this big of ego. Like, if you're going to fight somebody, I brought this up yesterday to you, I thought you want more witnesses and more people there seeing you being the tough machismo guy. Like, I'm going to beat this guy.
That's
like,
if you have something to prove.
But, like, Chris Paul and everybody else are, like, trying to do it behind the scenes and find these, like, backdoor entrances.
Because I got nothing to prove. I got nothing to prove. Why should I do it? You know, I'd rather do it where you can't sue me.
By the way, did you notice Coach Brown today? He was filming the Albany Coaches Show. What entrance did he come through? Because, like, we're all over here. There. Okay, it's like the Will Brown private entrance over here. Because we're waiting
where
for
they drive the cars in, actually.
That's not. That's a private entrance, okay?
It's a two-door.
He was trying to avoid us. I don't care where you two came in, all right?
I don't know. Will had a nice conversation with me. We talked about some things, how the family is, you know.
Yeah, I talked to him, too, and I got a call from saying, I want to talk to Coach more. Last one here. Florida Atlantic hired a 24-year-old as their offensive coordinator? 24-year-old OC. Why?
Well, he's a good friend of Lane Kiffin. He was the offensive assistant for Kiffin in Alabama. It's Charlie Weiss's kid, so you know he's got some gravitas, and we all know who the real OC is at Florida Atlantic. It's Lane Kiffin. He doesn't want some guy coming in and going, you know, Lane, I was thinking we should run a slant instead of a post on this one and this, that, and the other thing. So he decides to go with a guy that he can control. Oh, we just got a complaint here at Mohawk Honda because God said that this 13-year-old girl couldn't shoot 17 threes. The mom called the office and complained.
She's not as good as Steph Curry. Okay, I'll back up my point. This girl's not as good as Steph Curry. I have no problem with that. Now, back to your answer. Yes, he hired a 24-year-old because Lane feels like he knows the offense. He can still run his plays. The players will get along with him. By the way, you remember when we met Charlie Weiss at ESPN a few months ago?
Yeah.
He was just sitting there. This is going to sound like a joke. He was sitting there eating lunch and a lot of food he had in front of him. Charlie's a big guy.
He's surprisingly large.
So was his lunch. He had a lot to eat that day.
Which, I mean, they were wooing him. So, you do that. I mean, I risked this being a fat guy with pizza and wings in front of me. He was surprisingly large. Like, that suit jacket would have covered my couch.
Do we feel bad that he's 24 years old and he's already an offensive coordinator? Like, does that ever make you feel bad when we hear stories like that?
No, because my name's not Charlie Weiss Jr.
All right. Okay.
If the fact that you're not CrossFit Kringle the third already should bother you.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I love this pizza and wings and everything in front of us. I'm fine. My life is right now.
Are you good? We're good?
Well, I'm fine as long as I don't get more hate calls about this.
Well, stop taking shots at a 13-year-old girl, telling her she can't hit 17 threes.
I'm getting stuff
because she's a girl.
That's not what I said. That's not. I said she was 13. I do not need that tweets coming in right now.
So she was 14, you'd believe it?
Greg wrote in on Twitter. Greg wrote in, 11 3-pointers doesn't seem that much impressive to me anymore with just smiley faces.
See?
So he doesn't believe it either. That's how I took his tweet.
You take everything the way you want to believe it. That is Wednesday Why. We're live from Mohawk Honda, and we are completely losing control of the show. You can check us out live at Mohawk Honda's Facebook